What is up, you guys? I'm Charmx today. I'm going to be reacting to why this room is the most dangerous place in the world by real life lore. Now, I don't really know what to expect. I mean, I assume if it's a room that's dangerous, maybe there are like spikes above you on the ceiling and they'll come down, you know, like in like the movies. That's a dangerous room if you ask me. But it could also have something to do with like radiation. If the room has radiation stuff in it, that can kill you fast. Or poison, or snakes, maybe. So it could be a number of things. I'm not really sure what we're getting into, but it sounds interesting nonetheless. Anyway, with that being said, the original link's in the description. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Real Life Lore. Without any further ado, let's begin.
Everybody and everything that has ever existed eventually dies.
So we're starting off on a happy note today.
Death is ultimately just part of living on our planet, so it should come as no surprise to you that Earth is a dangerous place. But where on Earth is the most dangerous
Australia.
place? Assuming that you could take all available precautions like clothing, gear, weapons, a handy Toyota, or whatever else you can think of, and disregarding any laws relating to access, where would be the most dangerous place that you could go to that you're allowed to be prepared for? The quick answer is a basement located here in Ukraine, but the longer answer is
That's the most dangerous place, is a basement?
is ridiculously interesting and totally worth your time to listen through a little backstory. The basement is located in a familiar town to many of you called Pripyat, and is nearby an even more familiar nuclear power plant called Chernobyl.
Oh, okay. So it's radiation, I guess, right? Because everyone, well, a lot of people should be familiar with the Chernobyl incident.
30 years ago, in 1986, the Chernobyl power plant experienced a catastrophic disaster never before seen in the world. During a routine overnight test, reactor number 4 in the plant experienced a power surge.
See, I was familiar with the meltdown, but I wasn't really sure how it all like happened and what took place. So this is interesting. This is really interesting. I never knew this right here.
The nuclear core's temperature inside of this reactor grew rapidly, and in the following attempt to control this temperature, an even greater power surge was caused instead. Due to numerous design flaws inside of the reactor, 2 explosions followed from a buildup of steam caused by the core's increasing temperature.
Now that's a lot of damage!
The temperature got so hot that the nuclear fuel inside of the core began to melt, and this molten fuel began to seep down to the bottom of the reactor vessel. This nuclear lava melted through this vessel and into the concrete and pipes below, where it eventually reached the reactor's basement.
Yeah, like I never knew any of this happened. This is freaking crazy.
The now molten mixture of nuclear fuel, control rods, sand, glass, and concrete slowly cooled into an object that would later be called the Elephant's Foot. Back above the ground, the Soviet Union engaged in the largest civil engineering project in world history to contain the radiation spewing out into the atmosphere from the reactor. 500,000 workers were brought in to construct what became
500,000 people were brought in. You can almost bet all of those people were exposed to really high amounts of radiation and probably passed away not that long after. I wouldn't be surprised. Because if you're brought in to help contain radiation, that means radiation's already, you know, outside or whatever.
known as the sarcophagus, a gigantic concrete and steel fortress built around the destroyed reactor. Inside to this day are sealed 200 tons of radioactive corium, 30 tons of highly contaminated dust, and 16 tons of uranium and plutonium. Being on the roof of this sarcophagus is enough to expose you to a full year's worth of radiation in just 12 minutes.
Is that now? Is that nowadays? If you were to go there, that's what happens?
And the inside is so lethally radioactive that it could kill you within minutes. The sarcophagus today is surrounded by an even larger structure meant to further contain all of this radiation inside. But back in 1986, this was far from the case.
That's what it looked like? See, I think all these nuclear things, they should all follow a certain, blueprint or something like that, where, you know, a blueprint is made available for every country or whoever that's going to be doing nuclear reactors. And the country should be made to follow the blueprint or whatever. just so that if something were to happen, that it would keep everything contained. I don't know if that already exists, but if it doesn't, it really needs to, because it might have helped prevent something like this.
Ace. Scientists were sent into the ruins to search for nuclear fuel that could cause another explosion, and after 6 months of searching, a team encountered an unbelievably radioactive mass in the basement around the corner from where they were standing. Using a remote-controlled camera, the team took the very first photographs of the elephant's foot located inside.
Looks more like an ear than a foot, but whatever.
It's only 2 meters across, but it weighs as much as 100 tons. And it was so dangerous at the time that it would expose you to 10,000 Roentgens per hour, which means that in just 30 seconds it would be enough to induce extreme dizziness and fatigue in you that would last up to 2 weeks.
Wow, for 30 seconds. But wait a minute, you said they were there for 6 months. And they didn't notice anything before? I don't know. That's crazy.
After 2 minutes of being near it, it would be enough to cause your cells to hemorrhage. And after 4 minutes of being near it, it would cause vomiting, diarrhea, and a fever. If you were near it for just 300 seconds, it would be enough to guarantee your death within 2 days. But despite this, we have several photographs that exist of people right next to it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, these people who went down here, there's a very high chance that they are not around anymore. Also, this did happen in like the 60s or something, right? Or was it the 80s? So it did happen a long time ago, but still, I mean, they probably didn't last that long after this.
The grainy and almost ghostly effect that you're seeing in this photograph is because of the radiation produced by the elephant's foot interfering with the film of the camera. Nobody knows what happened to this worker or the photographer taking this picture, but based on the time limits that I listed earlier,
yeah, things did not go so well.
Probably isn't very good. They may not have known just how dangerous the object was then, but over the 30+ years since then, the elephant's foot has grown weaker. A study in 1996...
Oh, it's still friggin' there? Wait, so it's still there? They haven't moved it or done it? Well, I guess you can't. What are you gonna do if you move it? Where are you gonna put it, right?
10 years after the disaster, suggested that 5 minutes in the presence of the elephant's foot now would be enough to give you radiation sickness, and an hour next to it would be enough to kill you, which is far better than the 300 seconds that it used to take. However, the elephant's foot is still extremely hot and is still melting through the concrete floor of the basement. Should it melt all the way through and come into contact with groundwater, the results could be catastrophic.
Oh yeah, it would poison all the water. Oh my goodness. Maybe nuclear clean energy isn't the solution.
Another explosion might be possible, and the drinking water of nearby residents would certainly be contaminated. The elephant's foot will continue existing for centuries down in a dark basement, locked away inside of a giant sarcophagus, where the radiation will continue existing for the next 100,000 years. So if you're looking for the
Wow. I think the title does not lie when it comes to this situation.
most dangerous place to be on Earth, the inside of this building should definitely be near the top of your list.
However, I mean, it would have been the most dangerous place on Earth. I mean, it still is pretty dangerous, right? Because just being down there for an hour is enough to wipe you. But back when it originally happened, if you're there for 4 minutes, it would wipe you. So that's really freaking dangerous. But then again, remember what I said. What if you're in a room that has like spikes on the ceiling and it'll come down on you? I mean, that's probably like a 30 seconds before it takes you out. So that actually might be more dangerous, if you think of it. But nonetheless, I hope you guys like this video. This is interesting. This is very interesting. And it really goes to show that nuclear energy, it can actually be really helpful. At the same time, we really need to just make it safer by having precautions in case things go downhill like what happened there. And maybe we do now. I don't know. Anyway, if you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Possibly share with a friend. If you know it, subscribe to join the family. Also, make sure you guys go subscribe to Real Life Lore. The link's in the description. And I'll see you guys next time. Boop!